a very big welcome coming to you from the end of the world, Norway, this last country just before the North Pole. And here I met people who love the Lord. With a wonderful testimony in this program is Synnøve. She's old enough to tell us this story because in the church I attended, she is the oldest mama who can tell us everything. But the most amazing thing that amazed me is how she loves the Lord and grounded in the Word. Synnøve, welcome to the studio and tell us your full names and which year exactly were you born?
My name is Synnøve Danielsen. I come from Norway and I have gone to school in Porsgrunn with my parents. We were 4 children. I was the oldest one and I always had some responsibility.
Were your parents Christians? Were you born in a Christian family?
Yes, my mother was a stable Christian. My father was not as stable as my mother, but they always took us to Sunday school and we were always forced to go. But then we loved to go also because we got some stars in our cards and we were very happy then. So we went to Sunday school until I was about 14. Then it was last Sunday in church, and after that I didn't care too much. Then I found new friends and a new interest. But I always prayed. I always knew that He would help me and that I would come back to Him.
And so you found new friends at age 14, so you went into the teenage and started getting into the world.
That's right.
And then you continued in school?
Yeah, I continued school, high school. But after that, the war was coming to Norway. We had war during 1940 to 45. We had a war in Norway. We couldn't go to school so much.
The Second World War?
Yeah, the second. Yeah, it was the second one. That's right.
So you couldn't go to school?
There were many schools were closed. It was very hard to find places then. And we had very little food, very little clothes. It was a very hard time, the 5 years during the war. So we had to start working. I was working in a farm, and so then we could get food, you know. It was quite a hard time. But after that, when I was in the 20s, I worked at Oslo, and I went to school there, and started some different kind of life, you can say.
So you went into the life of the world?
Yeah, yes, that's what I did. Yeah.
Drinking, smoking, partying?
No, not drinking. Maybe smoking. That's right, we did smoke at that time. Yeah.
And then, what happened? You got married?
When I was about 24, I met Finn, my husband. He came home from America. He had been living there ever since the war, and then he came home to Norway, and we found each other. So we were engaged, and he went back to America after 6 months, and I followed him. So we were married in America.
And you lived in America with your husband, mild Christian, not a strong Christian?
Not really Christians. We were, America is a Christian country, so we felt that we were Christians, but they didn't go to church.
And then, what happened? How did you give your life to Jesus?
After a while, we lived in a very nice neighborhood. We got a child, our son, and we were very busy keeping family then, you know. My husband was very happy about the little boy we got. And we had a good life together. Only sometimes I felt pretty empty. I didn't know, I was not happy. I could feel in my heart there was something missing. And then one day, when I went to the store, I met a woman with a little boy, and he had a Norwegian sweater on. So I thought to myself, he must be some kind of Scandinavian. And I asked her, and she started to smile at me, and she wanted to make connection. So I said, "Oh, I see your boy. Is he Norwegian? Is he Scandinavian?" She said, "He's partly Norwegian," she said. I said, "Oh, why? I'm all Norwegian." And she said, "Are you all Norwegian? But you were born here?" "No, I was born in Norway." "Oh, gida meg." Then she said Norwegian, you know. Then she knew Norsk also. So she said, "Where do you come from?" And then it showed up that she was a missionary to India, and they had come back to America to have their children educated. And then she told me that when she was young, she was a missionary to India. All of a sudden, it dawned on me. I remember this lady in a sari, and she said, they told us we should call her Tante Rakel. "That's me," she said. "That's me." That was her. She was the one I met in Chicago after so many years. And then, of course, connection was there right away. And she started to witness for me, and she said, "Oh, you are Christian then?" I said, "No, I don't know." I said, I don't think the Christian in America is like us. I didn't know how to explain, how to excuse myself.
Yes.
So she said, "But you know, Jesus is the same." And then from then on, she started to come to my house. She had brought Norwegian papers, you know, newspapers from the Christian churches in Norway, and I just started to hunger. Very much hungry I was. And then one night, when she took me to a meeting for ladies, she asked me if I would like to come along. I said yes. And then, of course, all these ladies had been praying for me, you know. I felt I was drowned by prayers. And then on the way home, outside the car, she said, "Synnøve, wouldn't you like to give Jesus your life? Ask him to come into your heart?" I started to cry like mad, you know. And then she said, "Of course." And then that's how I became.
That's how you got saved.
A renewal of my childhood.
Yes.
Because I had always believed, but I was away from the Lord. And now I was saved.
It's amazing that the prayers of the missionary flooded you until the love of Christ came into your heart.
Yeah,
it's amazing. Now, how did you grow in faith after you got saved?
Grow in faith?
Yes.
Well, I started to go to a church in America, in Chicago. This Norwegian missionary brought me to a Norwegian church in Chicago. And there I found friends, and I wrote to my mother, and they sent me a Bible. They were so happy they could send me a Bible, you know. And everybody was very happy about that. So I started to go to that church, and I felt at home. I had read the Bible before, and I knew the words came back to me. You know. It was there. So I was very happy about that. I stayed in that church all the years we were in Chicago.
And then how did you come back to Norway?
After 10 years, we decided to move back to Norway.
With your husband?
Yeah.
And your boy?
My husband's parents lived in Norway, and they wanted us to come back. So it was good for us also.
Did your husband ever get saved?
Not until the last year.
Until the last year?
The last year of his life.
Yes.
He had no use for it. He respected me and so on, and let me go as I wanted. I had freedom. I could go wherever I wanted. But he never had any use for it. He was born in a farmer's house, you know, and there God was to work, to be the best workers.
the God of their lives was to be the best
If you
worker.
can say that.
Wow.
Yeah.
So he didn't see any good of...
He didn't have any use for church or no.
So what happened to it and how did he get saved?
When he was very old, he was laying much in bed, and of course I had Christian channels on TV, and he did look at them though.
Christian channels on television.
Yeah, so he did see some Christian TV, but at the last month or two maybe, he opened up his heart more, because I knew he was going to give his heart to Jesus. He was going to ask him to come into his heart. We prayed the Lord's Prayer many times in the evening, you know, and I just prayed on my own way, and he said, "Don't keep on so long then."
Don't keep on so long praying.
Yeah, but he didn't understand it, you know. It was just not outside of his mind. So, but the Lord is good, and he did ask him to come into his heart. And he said, if it had not been for you, Synnøve, he said, I had never thought about that. But of course, when you get close to your end, then you understand it's serious.
So, did you ever ask God that your husband should be saved?
Of course. For years.
For years.
Years. Not just asked, I demanded him.
You demanded from God?
Yes.
How did you demand?
I said, you have promised that you and your whole family is going to be saved. And I said, now you will see my husband. He is not saved. And I just ask you to open up his heart so that he can understand. And I believe he did. In the evening, sometimes, I could feel that he was more open. But you know, the devil is very hard. He wants to keep his own property.
Yes.
Isn't? Yeah.
So you kept on demanding?
Yes. And then my son, he was not far away when he was very sick. He died before my husband.
Your son died before your husband?
Yes, 2.5 years before. My husband was laying in that bed and he was in that bed. And then I was coming home. I had been in his apartment this day. When I came home, it was so longing for me. Oh, Mama, I could just feel that he wanted me. So I was sitting by his bed. And I could understand that it was going to the end. And he was coughing and having a bad time. I said, Glenn, I said, now it's just one thing to do. He said, yes. Yes, that's Jesus. I said, yes. You will ask him to come into your heart? So we asked him. He said, Jesus, I know you are the Savior of the world. You are my Savior. I believe in you. I believe that you died for me. I just talked like that to him. And yes, yes, yes. And all of a sudden, he was gone.
In the last minute?
Yeah.
Your son?
Yes.
So the demand that you demanded from God that your son and your family be saved, your husband, they all got saved?
Yes. I had the promise. I just proclaimed the promise. You know? When God has promised something, he never goes away from it. Right?
He fulfills it.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. Now, one final very good question I would like to ask. You gave your life to Jesus Christ, and you find that you have a very difficult time. Your son is sick, an only son. Your husband is sick, an only husband. Both of them are not saved, and you are saved, a strong Christian and a strong believer. Wasn't it a difficult time for you in faith?
I don't know, God gave me the strength, and He gave me happiness. I was always glad. I had the joy of the Lord in my heart. I knew that what I was doing was right, and He gave me the strength, and He gave me friends, and He gave me a good church. So I just, I would never leave. I never thought about that at all. Even sometimes it was hard to be alone. But He let me go. My husband was free that way. He said, just go.